Welcome to Catholic Mom's Journey podcast, where faith meets the beautiful, messy, grace-filled life of motherhood. I'm Alexus Escobar.
And I'm Alyssamay LaBanca.
Catholic moms walking this same windy road, learning to love deeper, pray harder, and laugh often through the chaos.
Here we talk about the real stuff. Faith in the everyday, finding God in the laundry piles, and leaning into his mercy when life feels anything but perfect. Together, we'll discover how God's grace shows up in our homes, our hearts, and our motherhood journey.
So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's walk this windy road of faith in beautiful, messy grace together.
Amen.
Yeah, I feel like that one was the best one.
Yeah.
There we go. We need
your imaginary shot of espresso.
You know what I realized? I feel like because it's so hard for me, like I told you, I'm more quiet during like in public and stuff like that. I feel like it's easier for me to like talk through this way.
Well, that's because you're with me and you have no idea how many people are watching on the other side of the camera. So today's topic is St. Michael the Archangel.
Yeah.
Huge topic. We're not theologians. We're not experts on it, but we'll talk about what we do know, what we've researched, and how St. Michael the Archangel has affected our spiritual lives.
Yeah. So St. Michael the Archangel. He is known to be the leader of the angels that casted out Satan. His feast day is September 29th, and he's just someone you turn to for whenever you're feeling like something demonic on you. He's known a lot for to use during exorcisms. I was always told you say the prayer like during bad dreams. And then he's believed to also like guard the garden after Adam and Eve had been exiled out. He also fought for like Moses against Satan and bringing him to heaven. He's known to be the one to help lead your soul to heaven after you have passed away. And his prayer was brought up from Pope Leo XIII. And we actually have a book over here.
Yes.
I don't know the full longer prayer. Sorry. We have a little one with us today.
Don't apologize. She's a baby.
He is believed, or not he's believed. They had a longer prayer for him and it eventually got shortened. His prayer was always said at the end of Mass for centuries. And then it eventually kind of became a thing that was never done. And now slowly some churches are starting to bring it back. I'm very new to reading St. Michael. So this is still starting to get to know everything about him. I know he was brought up in the Bible at least 4 different times, and one of the only few angels that are even brought up by name in the Bible, which is amazing to know, like who's gonna help lead us to the gates of heaven and fight for us and fight for our souls, especially during the dark times, or if we feel like that demonic force trying to take a hold of us and lead us into depression or
temptation.
Yeah. It's just a good prayer to know and a good angel to lean on.
My first experience with St. Michael the Archangel prayer was we were at the monastery in Munster. We still have to go there, but I remember them saying it after Mass one day, and I was like, oh, this is new. It's different. And Michael knew it. I didn't know it. My husband's name is Michael. I always call him St. Michael. But yeah, so they said it one day after Mass, and it was so unexpected, and I had no idea what it was. And I just remember they had the prayer cards for it. So I like eventually memorized it. And I didn't really meditate on what the prayer was actually saying. And we'll put up the prayer so that you can see it if you want to screenshot it. start rehearsing it. It's a very common prayer. It's a very powerful prayer, and that's why it's so common. But I now use it, not even joking, probably like 5 to 10 times a day. It's just one of the prayers that I gravitate to, especially when I start feeling those moments of temptation, when I'm having a hard day or when I'm alone or just kind of down and out.
See, I never really knew the prayer. I knew of him, but I didn't even know that he was the leader of like the angels and led Satan down to hell and or any of this. So I still got to learn the prayer myself. And I didn't even realize that, my kids are telling me like, oh yeah, you say his prayer whenever you have like a bad dream. You're supposed to say his prayer. And I'm like, oh, okay. So now I'm like thinking about how I can print it out and put it into a frame and have it somewhere in their room. So that way, in case they need it, especially like my poor, 7 years old now, he always comes to me, Mom, I had a bad dream, and wants to lay with me. I'm like, okay, just say your prayers and go to bed. So now he has a prayer to turn to.
Yeah. Take a screenshot, put it as your lock screen, and just kind of practice it.
Yeah.
Printing it out is really good option. Even writing it out, just taping it to the wall next to his bed. Why not?
And then that's another prayer to add to my I have a list of prayers that I've now converted into like Spanish. So that way I can learn them in both.
Cool.
Because those of you that don't know me, I am not fluent. So this is another way for me to try to learn them. So that's another prayer. Now I got to get on there.
Now I want to learn it in Latin. I had this obsession during the first year of my reversion to learn the rosary in Latin. So I'm really good at the Hail Marys. I'm okay at the Our Father and then the Glory Be. But then every other prayer, I still need to learn. The Creed, I think, is going to take me the longest. The Apostles' Creed. Hail Mary was easy to learn just because it was repetitive.
The other ones are a lot longer.
St. Michael the Archangel prayer in Latin, and then I want to look it up in Spanish. Ooh, yes, they have it. Of course they do. Cool. All right, I'll put this up. I'll put it up on the screen. There it is.
I do it.
And then why not put up the Spanish version too? Here, let me find an image. Here you go. San Miguel. So, fun fact, I went to the Council of Trent conference in Texas in April. It was very cool getting to meet a lot of the Catholic content creators on YouTube that I've been watching for a while, getting to see them in real life. They're exactly who they are in their videos. They're the same people in person as they are in their videos, which is really cool. But I got to meet some unexpected people, one of them being Kevin Simmons. He wrote this book, Pope Leo XIII and the Prayer to St. Michael. Pope Leo XIII is the Pope who came up with the St. Michael the Archangel prayer. I am so sorry, Kevin. I have not had the chance to read this yet. But once I do, I would love to do an episode on this book and what I've learned. We ended up talking about this book because I told Kevin my life story, and it has to do with a lot of darkness, a lot of evil. I was surrounded by, I'll just call it what it is, by demons. And his eyes just like lit up, and he's like, "You should read my book." And I was like, "You wrote a book? That's cool." So Kevin's a really cool guy, but he signed it for me. I think it's really cool. If I can, I'll share his picture. I'll ask him though. Ask him for permission.
Let's see. So he is to help us during times of temptation. You know, when I think about that, I'm thinking like, what am I tempted by now as like I've learned? And it's so hard because when you come into the faith, or even people that are still like within the faith, like right now I struggle with that I'm trying to get out of is cussing. It is so hard. It is so hard.
I stopped doing it for like a year and a half, and then it slowly made its way back into my vocabulary.
Really?
Yeah, it was after my reversion, I went like hard. I stopped listening to everything, like all types of secular music and all that. If it wasn't Catholic specifically, I didn't want anything to do with it. So it was easy for me to not curse because they don't curse in Catholic YouTube videos and podcasts and stuff. But then when I slowly started opening myself back up.
Yeah. See, and it's very hard because like if I'm having regular conversations, it doesn't tend to come up. But it also depends on who I'm talking to. You know, with my husband, I can slip here and there, and then I correct myself. Or especially when I just get mad or frustrated with the kids or something like that, then that's when it all starts coming out. You know, anger is usually what triggers it, and then that's, you know, the demon slowly trying to keep in and keep me close to make me fail at those temptations, and I do fail.
And that's the real battleground is our homes, right? That's where we, like, all the walls come down. Our kids see the most raw versions of ourselves, so of course that's where it's going to happen. And it's always the hardest, like once you catch yourself, you're like
yep.
I always apologize, and then the next time it comes up in my head again, I gotta pause.
That's so hard.
Yeah. I will say though, the last 2 days I have started my day with intentional prayer. Like normally I do talk to God in my head, but not in words. But now I've been forming sentences in my head, and I'm like, okay, Lord, help me be better today. Help me and Michael be good stewards of you and to lead our children to you. I do say the St. Michael prayer. I always say Hail Mary, Our Father, all the, like, I should put like a list out like my basic prayers that I do every day. But when I start my day off with it, I'm less likely to be tempted or to slip up like that.
You know what? I like that you said, like, our house is like our battleground.
Yes.
You know? And he's the one helping us lead that battle, lead us into that. So that's, I think I do need to start saying it at home. Because I never say that prayer. That, you know, I've heard of it, and I just never started saying it. I'm always used to doing the Hail Marys and Our Fathers, so that one I definitely need to start incorporating into my life, and then I can definitely let you know how it's affected me and how it's helped since then. But so I'm gonna start. I think that's a good one. Start it at the beginning of my day. That way it leads my day off on a good note.
Yeah. I don't know why I struggled so much with starting my day with prayer. Ending my day with prayer, like I would fall asleep and talk to God, but starting it is like putting on the spiritual armor, right? At the end of the day, that's where I'm kind of like apologizing for the things that I slipped up on or like where I fell into temptation. But if you start at the beginning of the day, well, then you've got like the spiritual armor. Yeah. So you can deflect things that you didn't even know were attacking you. Yeah. And St. Michael's great for that.
You know what I think is also something that it's hard for us, I think, to talk about? Not maybe you want to say hard, but something that we don't talk about amongst people, because we always want to talk about more of the lighter stuff, but even like demons, you know, attacking us. And the different forms it can come into, like the worst form is exorcism. You know, we don't ever talk, I feel like, about it like that and how he can help in that way or think about it. I think that's another way that we let it fail us when we come into our interactions with people that are maybe hard in our life, because St. Michael can help lead those conversations.
So saying the St. Michael the Archangel prayer before meeting anybody, honestly, is probably the safest bet. Like when you're driving on your way to a place, or even if you're not intending to see somebody, like you're probably going to bump into somebody and there's going to be some sort of spiritual battle there, right? Like, I used to have the strong temptation to like judge people in my head or like if they were doing something, I'm like, oh, I would do that better. And I hate admitting that I was like that. But yes, going back to what you said about exorcism. Sorry, I got distracted.
I feel like my head went everywhere too on that one, but
that's okay.
I'm kind of everywhere right now. I'm like, my foot was focused on rocking her, and then I'm trying to think at the same time, and my coordination was not going up here.
This is real unfiltered motherhood right here. Look at this. This is my goddaughter, by the way. I'm so happy. I have a godson on the other side of the world, and this is my goddaughter. It's okay if we go off track. Yes.
So you may hear her little coos and whines in the background.
I wanted to talk about how Catholics, or just people in general, don't really talk or address the darkness, but we have to. We have to because it's real. It's real. We don't ever want to focus too much attention on demons, on evil, on hell, but we have to address it. And then when we do address it, we have to address what God does or what we can do to counteract that. I
think I told you too, like a while ago, I've heard, I was listening to a couple different other podcasts, and they were talking about, it was a few Protestants. They were talking about they love how Catholics actually address it, because in their religion, it's not something that they really talk about like that. And it is a real thing. And some people don't realize how much of a real thing it is until they come into interaction with it themselves and have strange things going on.
I've actually heard the opposite. I've heard that we don't address it enough, that we don't address hell enough. But I think it's because the majority of Catholics only go to Mass on Sundays because that's the obligation. But if you go to daily Mass, it's hard for moms to do. I do know stay-at-home moms who do go to daily Mass or as much as they can. But the average person does not go to daily Mass. If you do go, I think they go through the whole Bible within a 2 or 3 year cycle. Yeah. So you get all of it. And then also if you're learning about the faith outside of Mass, which is what we should be doing, then you hear about it. But if you're only going to Sunday Mass and that's it, you're really not going to hear too much about it, about hell, about demonic things. But yeah, with Protestants, I have heard that part, like how they don't know too much about it until they encounter it. And then when they start looking, they end up falling into the Catholic sphere because there are exorcists now that are talking about it online. You've got Father Chad Ripperger, Father Carlos Martins with his podcast, Exorcist Files.
Actually, it was that one. He was on a podcast on one of the episodes with a Protestant that had came into contact, and he had some strange things happen to him. I'd have to find the episode.
Okay. I just started re-listening to it again. I'm in season 2. Father Chris Alar talks about it. Father Chris Alar is a priest that gives talks, and his video about angels and demons was my gateway into Catholicism. It was the very first video that I watched 3-4 years ago that just piqued my interest. And then who's the other one? So I said, who's that one exorcist who was a stockbroker in New York? He had a pretty big conversion. Dan Rehill. Father Dan Rehill. He's a cool one too. But yeah, so you've got all these exorcists now talking about like the ins and outs of what demons do and how they operate. And it's really cool. Like the more you learn about it, the less scary it becomes, because Hollywood really made it scary. And it is scary. But when you hear someone who encounters it every day and helps free people from their oppression or possession, it becomes less of an ambiguous thing. You know, the deeper you dig into it, you learn that diving into the sacraments and actually being serious about your life with God will free you from it or keep you away from it.
When you say that, I just thought about like you become less fearful of it, and it reminded me of a reel that I came across of this guy that was possessed, and he was at church having this demon in him, and he's just making these noises and screaming. And the people that were there for adoration just started saying the rosary, going around him, splashing holy water on him. Like, they knew what to do. They stepped in and started going right at it. And then eventually the father was able to come in, and then I believe he might have said the Saint Michael Archangel prayer too. But yeah, it's just like they had no fear in it. They knew what was going on, and they knew what had to be done to be able to help that man's soul to be released.
Yeah.
Freed.
I noticed that the people in there were like a little bit older, like maybe 50s and older.
Yeah.
And to me, that struck me, because I'm like, well, first of all, like, they're at adoration. Typically, that's the age group that like understands why it's important. Now, more of our age group and younger understand the importance of adoration. But then the fact that they didn't leave, maybe one person got up and left, but they stayed and they prayed. I'm not going to lie. I kind of questioned the lady who threw the holy water on him. I'm like, I don't know if she has the authority to do that. I'd have to, like, I'm going to truthly it. And then I'm going to see if a priest says anything about that. But yeah, I thought that was a cool video that actually, like, got a lot of views. And you could tell he was truly possessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because at the time, my daughter was right next to me watching. Like, she's seen what was. She's like, "What are you watching?" And I'm just like, "I'm just watching this guy. He basically kind of go through an exorcism." And I didn't grow up in a Catholic school, and I've heard they've always showed one. So I'd never seen an exorcism. So that was kind of like the first time of me ever seeing like even a video of somebody possessed like that. But it's crazy to see, like, him screaming, him not having any control. And then it's crazy to see, like, after the fact, after the father came, after he did the prayers and all this stuff, and then how fine he was. Like, it's I don't know.
I'm interested in you saying that they show an exorcism in Catholic school, because they don't record them just for privacy. So
I would have to ask, because I know somebody I went to school with, they show them. I don't know if it's showing them like how it's done in a typical basis, or
but not an actual exorcism.
I don't know. I'd have to see.
Yeah, because I've heard so many times that, like, for privacy reasons they don't record it, because it is a really.
I know there is one
personal.
that was actually done. They did a
Was it Emily Rose?
documentary. It was a lady. It was a girl.
Yeah,
teen.
I think that might be her.
That one was actually documented.
Yeah. I think she ended up dying though, right?
I don't know. I didn't end up. I never watched that one and looked too much into it. You know, even
Anna Eklund. I've heard of her. Annalise. Oh wait. I'm gonna look into this, because I've heard of so many exorcisms. This was my world before I got into Catholicism. It's kind of going full circle now. Like, I get the full picture. But I really loved scary movies, and I could handle those.
Really?
Yeah.
I am not the scary movie person.
I was.
But you know, I'm not the scary movie person, but I could sit there and like probably watch an exorcism.
A real exorcism?
Yeah. I think it's because more of like the realness and almost like a documentary type of feel of it, versus like a scary movie is not like, I don't know.
Well,
a
scary movie is designed, like sound design, lighting, the scenes, the dialogue, all of that is designed to scare you. I mean, obviously, witnessing an actual possession, an actual exorcism is scary.
Yeah.
But I think, especially like after all the exorcists talking about this, like, you get used to it. It's like, as long as you remember that the devil he's a showman, and he just wants to pull out everything out of his bag of tricks to impress you or get a rise out of you. Like, don't show that. He can't get into your head. He has no idea what you're thinking. He can see that you're scared, and if you give it attention, then he's going to do it more. But at the end of the day, God, Jesus is the one with the authority. He's going to decide when this person gets to be liberated. I've actually, like, when I was really into the Exorcist Files podcast during my first year of reversion, I could picture myself praying the rosary in Latin in the back. And I told, I'm really good friends with this older lady at our church. She's very well known. I told her that I wanted to be involved in deliverance ministry. And she paused and she goes, "Are you sure about that?" And I was like, "I know it sounds scary and it sounds crazy, but I feel like because of what I went through personally, like it wouldn't, maybe after the first couple, it really wouldn't shake me to my core."
Yeah.
What I would really be concerned about is like how the devil kind of like obliquely attacks people. So like family members and all that. So it's still something that I would have to discern in the future. At this point in my life, no. This is like my main vocation is mother. And maybe that's who I'll be for the rest of my life. But I
could see you doing stuff like that just because everything you experience, and then just also the type of person you are to be able to do something like that.
Yeah. Well, my kids would have to be like grown and well off.
Yeah.
I even was like, and if Michael passes before me, like maybe that's what I go into, and that's my purpose. We'll see. I don't know what God has planned.
So what do you mean by just manipulating, kind of like what we felt like before we started this podcast, in the sense of going after like loved ones?
That is very light compared to what I have personally experienced. Like the falls and all that, and all the the technical things and everything that went wrong. That's all very like,
Really?
Yeah, I've really experienced some hard things. I've not experienced a possession.
No.
No. Thank God for that. But I'd really have to sit and do another episode about like what I truly have experienced. One thing I could say is that I think I've mentioned this before, maybe in the first episode. There was always something in the room with me. It always felt like he was here. Like, just something
The
always
presence.
with me. Yeah.
You always felt it.
Yeah. I don't think it was Satan, like Lucifer. I think it was just,
One
I
of
think
his
it was
little
a
minions.
strong, he was not little, but I think it was something strong. And I truly think it had something to do with the Freemasonry. Because once we said that once I renounced it, it like went away. I don't think it was immediate. I think I still had like sins that I was holding on to that I needed to confess and really like reconcile. But yeah, we should do an episode on Freemasonry another time. St. Michael's huge. Yeah. So he cast the final blow to Lucifer. He cast the final blow, and that's why St. Michael the Archangel prayer is so powerful. And I mean, that's why that prayer is in my arsenal of prayers, because I know how powerful it is. And one of the craziest stories that I have about that prayer is during I call it my era of like self-deliverance. So December 3rd, 23, that's when I said yes to God. I was like, all right, take it all. I'll do whatever you say. Within a couple of weeks, I remember being down here. I was in the bathroom and I was being attacked in my head. It was like constant like voices in my head saying things like, choke your kids, stab them with a knife, like really bad things. And I was sitting on the floor curled up like this. My back was up against the wall and I was like crying and I didn't know what to do. And I just was inspired to say the St. Michael prayer. And so I started whispering it like while I'm like crying, and I hear my dog come down the stairs and he comes right under my legs right here. He does not do that. I mean, he'll come to me, but like I wasn't audibly crying or anything. It's almost like God was like, okay, here, it's going to be fine. Yes, say the prayer. And he came and he just kind of sat with me and he calmed me down. And that's when I knew like, okay, this really is powerful. Because how did my dog know to come down from all the way upstairs and he couldn't hear me crying? How could the world benefit from having his intercession? Ooh, well, the world is benefiting from him. I think the question is, how can you benefit from incorporating the St. Michael the Archangel prayer into your life? Well, if you don't have obvious signs of the devil working in your life, which most people don't actually see how he's working behind the scenes, I would encourage you to just say the prayer and see what pops up. Do not be surprised if you start feeling kind of heavy. That means it's working. That means that when you start getting closer to God, you make that conscious decision to do that, and you say a prayer like the St. Michael the Archangel prayer, you will probably be, for lack of a better term, attacked, because the devil does not want to lose you. So keep going. Ask other people to pray for you. That is super powerful too. We will pray for you. Anyone who is watching this, we're already praying for you.
You know what? I also feel like in the world, especially during COVID time, everybody was stuck in their homes and depression went so skyrocket up. And the devil found their moment. And so if you're somebody that's struggling ever since then or has been struggling on and off, that prayer will definitely help. Something else to also think about, if you have a loved one that's in the midst of passing, maybe say that prayer for them. I wouldn't have thought to say it because he is the one that leads you to heaven.
Hello, everybody. This is Michael LaBanca. He is my husband, and he's our first podcast guest. And I just wanted to introduce him because he's going to talk about St. Michael the Archangel.
I am. What? Hello, everybody.
Yeah, if you just want to give us kind of like a brief of St. Michael the Archangel, what you know about him, and maybe a little bit about how you use him in your life.
Okay. Well, he's my namesake. My dad named me after St. Michael the Archangel. He would always call him the champion. And he'd always have, like, when I was a little kid, he would tell me just the story of how he, basically kicked Satan out of heaven. Mm-hmm. And he asked, the good angels. I'd have to look up the tradition of it. But he said, who is like God? And, drew his sword against the evil angels, as the legions of angels had whatever war in heaven, if that's even the right word for angelic creatures, and threw all the demons out of heaven. When Alyssa told me that you guys were doing St. Michael, I was like, oh, what could I think of for that? Because you asked me, what are some insights about St. Michael? And I thought of a few scriptures, and Alyssa's phone is right here, so I could just pull it out and see what I texted her. Because I came down here without my phone, since I knew alarms would be going off. Might be able to hear them in the distance. So what did I have to say? Okay. Here's from Luke chapter 10, verse 17 and following. This was after Jesus sent out the 70 or 72 disciples to cure the sick and cast out demons and proclaim the word. He sent them 2 by 2. I think there's an episode in The Chosen about that, right? Where they go 2 by 2.
Yeah,
towns.
2 by 2 to each town.
Yeah, so that's definitely a Chosen. Definitely in The Chosen. It's in the Gospels, which is why it's in The Chosen, It makes sense.
Yeah, right?
So Luke chapter 10, verse 17 through 20. The 70 returned with joy, saying, Lord, even the demons are subject to us in your name. And he said to them, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Behold, I have given you authority to tread upon serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall hurt you. Nevertheless, do not rejoice in this, that the spirits are subject to you, but rejoice that your names are written in heaven. So St. Michael's not mentioned there explicitly by name, but we have him being cast out of heaven, and traditionally, St. Michael is the one that did it. Then we have this blurb from the letter of Jude, verse 9. When the Archangel Michael, contending with the devil, disputed about the body of Moses, he did not presume to pronounce a reviling judgment upon him, but said, The Lord rebuke you. And that's actually where we get the phrase in that prayer. You got this here, Pope Leo prayer to Saint Michael. So that phrase comes from Scripture, from Jude verse 9. And we see there that Michael cast him out of heaven originally, but then in this whatever contention, I guess they were arguing literally about the dead body of Moses. Because I don't know what the devil would want to do with Moses' dead body. I guess because smiling.
Maybe because he's like one of the followers, that God has chosen. So to take it away, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. I don't
take something so precious of what God wanted.
Right. But the reason I thought of that scripture is because Michael, since he's a non-fallen angel, since he's a normal angel, he has the authority to beat him, I'd imagine. But he exercised humility, which is like the opposite of Satan's pride. And he said, let God rebuke him. So he let God do the work rather than himself. And that kind of speaks to us, how we should let the Lord's authority rule in us. Like we were royalty because we are united in God's kingship, but we are only in that kingship as much as we give it to him. And St. Michael's fully given it to him, which probably ticks Satan off even more since he's like the prince of pride, And at the end of the letter of Jude, there's an example of that. It says, kind of a prayer to God. Now to him who is able to keep you from falling and to present you without blemish before the presence of his glory with rejoicing, to the only God, our Savior, through Jesus Christ our Lord, be glory, majesty, dominion, and authority before all time and now and forever. Amen. So at the beginning of that, to keep you from falling, I just like how, because Jude's only one chapter. The letter of Jude's only one chapter. So we have Jesus back in Luke chapter 10 saying he saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven, and Lucifer is like the shining one or the light bearer, I believe. I'd have to look that up. But so he comes down like a lightning bolt because, he's great and powerful and has light. At the end of the letter of Jude, the one who is able to keep you from falling. So we can only not fall in Jesus if we're attached to him, if we abide in him. He's the one that prevents us to fall. If we start getting self-sufficient, then that's when we fall, kind of like Satan. We need to always come back to that reliance on God.
Have humility.
Yes, have humility, absolutely. And St. Michael practiced it.
I like that verse because I didn't even think about it that way. Like, he was the chief. He was the one who led the battle, led all the other angels, and even him, he stepped down and said, "I'm not, the one to do this." Even though he probably could, he's like, "No, that's what I think. For God." Yeah,
I think that Michael would be able to do it, but
yeah,
he's like, "Let God rebuke you," which was again probably even a bigger stab to Satan.
Looks like I don't have a microphone on me.
I can see you. you could come get in my face again here.
All the great saints always reflect God's glory. Yeah. They don't rely on their own power.
Yeah. That's all I really had. I thought of that very quickly, and it was a bit rough, but it is what it is.
So that is St. Michael, the Archangel, and a little bit about how we feel about it. Do you have anything else to say, kind of like about family and maybe how do you lead with it with the kids,
Ways that you could practically apply this prayer to your life. Honestly, just say it every day. Start the day with it. When you're on your way to go see somebody, especially somebody that there's a little bit of tension and history with, say the prayer. Just fully surrender. And St. Michael will intercede for you. He's been a very powerful intercessor in my life, in my family's life, and I can see God's glory shining through the cracks.
That was good. Yep. All right. So thank you for listening to Alyssa and I. We love learning the faith and having these real talks. We hope you learned something and or can connect with us. Follow us on our social medias linked below and stream on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube.
Thank you guys.
Thank
God bless.
you.